My name is Ed Nardi, Chair of the Natural Resources Commission, and I'm calling this public meeting to order at 7 p.m. Tonight's NRC meeting will be a hybrid in-person and Zoom meeting. We have a microphone set up on the commission table, and plans will be projected through the TV monitor. If you are presenting via Zoom, please turn on your audio and microphone when it's time for you to speak. Following the presentation by the petitioner and questions from the commission, members of the public will have the opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment. Please identify yourself with name and address for the record. You can also raise your hand from your phone by dialing *9 and use *6 to unmute. All video screens will be turned off with the exception of any commissioners attending virtually and the current petitioner. Once the commission has acted on an application, the petitioner is free to leave the meeting. In the event of any technical difficulties, all matters on the agenda that have not been heard will be automatically continued to the February 7th meeting. Please note that the meeting is being recorded. At this time, I would ask the commissioners to introduce themselves. Gary?
Gary Kleiman.
Sarah?
Sarah Grimwood.
Bill?
Bill Cremeza.
And Nick?
Nick Pappas.
Thank you all. All right, so this evening we have one agenda item, which is the Warner's Pond Task Force issue. We do have a slight amendment for approval this evening, which is just a small technical issue. And then we'll move on to appoint the task force members. And first, I just give it a quick synopsis of where we've been with the task force. Since early November, the NRC has worked to develop a charge for the task force to evaluate alternatives and options at Warner's Pond. We have been through multiple revisions of the charge, improved by the public input that we have received, and the NRC would like to thank everyone in assisting with the drafting of the charge for the task force that is in front of us this evening. We had 16 quality applications from citizens who submitted volunteer cards and letters of interest for the positions on the task force. We had good coverage of all the open seats on the board, with the largest application pool for the at-large seats. We met with all 16 candidates and discussed our findings and recommendations with the town manager, who was on board with the slate of candidates. Everyone felt some connection to the pond, and we strive to balance the task force with folks with different perspectives and backgrounds. The first meeting of the task force will be held next week, and we thank you in advance for your service to the task force and the town. Finally, we have one minor change to the charge that we must vote tonight to correct the representation for an ex officio member, along with voting for the task force slate of candidates after both commission discussion of the task force and any public comment. So with that, I would just open it up for any comments or perspectives from the commissioners on the task force.
No, nothing for me.
All right, Sarah?
Nothing new.
Okay,
Just eager to get started.
Yeah.
great. Nick? Nothing? Okay, you are good. And I have nothing to add other than that brief opening comment. So we'll move to public comment of the task force. Any public comments? Yes.
Okay, Natalie, for Lost Road. You said the task force is gonna meet next week. I was wondering, is there a place online where
You
data
can,
that's being collected can sit in a central repository that everyone can access?
in terms of the meeting times or the minutes that come out of those meetings?
The actual findings of the task force, because they're charged with collecting data, right? To and fact finding.
Yeah.
So I guess if there's a central place where all that information can be stored and we can access, that would be helpful.
I mean,
Yeah,
they're
I
on
mean,
the
we can-
webpage, right?
We can develop a Warner's Pond Task Force webpage
Mm-hmm.
under NRC subcommittees.
Sure. Yeah, that would be great.
It's not gonna have pictures and everything. It's gonna be pretty sparse. It won't be as pretty as maybe some of our other web pages, but it will have, any information that the task force is gonna be evaluating. We could certainly put that up on.
As well as agendas for each meeting. And I assume these are gonna be weekly meetings or monthly meetings?
So
there you go.
that'll be determined by the task force, approximately monthly, and the agendas will be just as they are. There's an agenda center. You can, I'm sure that you could probably sign up for it to get notification. I don't know, Karen, would we post that on the Warner's Bonds? Where would we post that? Agendas?
Yeah.
They will be on the Waters Pond.
Yeah,
page.
probably makes
Okay.
sense there, so
Yeah.
people can
Yeah.
just go and get all the Warren's Pond information at
Yes.
one location.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any further comments from the public? Do you see anybody online?
Mm.
Okay, so I think with that, Delia, in regard to the first minor amendment to the charge.
I would do that first.
Yeah, and do you want to just state that?
Yes, so.
What is the change?
Yeah.
The change is, we had been, or the NRC had been asked to put, a representative from MCI Concord onto the task force, which is on there as an ex officio. And I have spoken with Jeffrey Quick, who works, for Department of Corrections, actually, and, with MCI Concord closing, it's more appropriate to reference it as Department of Corrections representative, so that's what the change is. It's been changed from an MCI Concord rep to DOC rep, which
Okay.
is the same person. Jeff Quick, who's their
Okay.
resource
Yeah.
operations.
This is small.
So I move that we modify the charge for the Warner's Pond Task Force to delete the reference to an MCI Concord representative in the ex officio capacity and include a Massachusetts Department of Corrections representative in an ex officio capacity.
Second.
Thank you, Sarah. And the vote, Gary,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
and I am an
Okay.
I as well.
Okay, I see that David Owen has his hand raised. Is that on that minor modification?
Yes. I just had a question is, if the department, I don't know everything that's going on with the Department of Corrections there near Warner Pond, but are they exiting entirely from that? Are they
No.
maintaining?
So
the
MCI Concord,
facility that's up on the hill, the farm, and
Right.
stretches down, okay. That's all.
exactly. Yep, so the MCI Concord parcel on the east side of Commonwealth Ave, where the prison is, that is closing. The farm on the other side of Route 2 and Com Ave, that remains unchanged.
And also the farm I assume on both others, it's on both sides, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying, they are gonna continue to be a major butter, makes sense, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, David. Yes,
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. I just
No, no, no.
something else came to my mind. Could you provide thumbnail sketches or bios of each member of the task force, just get their background, or no?
no,
You
I
cannot.
mean, you
Well-
can, there are volunteer cards that have been submitted with
Yeah, those
the
that's public
town
record.
clerk's office, and
Okay.
those,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you could request
yeah.
those from the town clerk's office.
All right, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. All right, so I think with that, with no other public comment and present or on Zoom, I think we could have a motion to approve the Warren Pond Task Force.
This has been circulated somewhere.
This has been posted on the,
Yeah.
yes,
So I move that we appoint the task force members on the January 31st agenda as written with a slate of representatives for the various interests, including 2 at-large members to be appointed to the West Concord Task Force consistent with the charge. Warner's Pond Task Force, right, consistent with the charge. Thank you.
Second.
thank you, Sarah. And the vote, Gary,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
and Nick,
Aye.
and I am an I as well. Thank you all. And I think with that, with no further comment, we will be adjourned for the evening.
Wow.
Thank you.
Fastest, one of the fastest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.